The Derpfest ROM based on Android 11. Yes, I have been a fan of this ROM earlier, but not anymore, at least on the Redmi Note 10 Pro. So let's begin. This is the 13th September 2021 build of the Derpfest ROM based on Android 11, and in the notes it says it is on initial OSS build, and there is where the problem lies. I will show you what are the issues on the Redmi Note 10 Pro. At least it might work totally fine on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max, but for the Redmi Note 10 Pro users, this is a sad news. Yes, the ANX camera on this particular ROM is pre-built, if you're noticing on the bottom. So first things first, I'm going to show you the camera. Well, the camera icon looks like this. This is the stock camera, but once you open it, you will be really happy that you have this MIUI camera still. But as you can see, everything is working fine. Like, let me take a photo quickly of this, and by just doing this 2x telephoto zoom to, let me take one. So here is the 2x telephoto zoom photo, right? So as you can see, it's perfectly normal sized and it still is a 16 megapixel photo. Now let me move to the wide angle lens one, and here if I go into the info, as you can see, this is also a 8 megapixel photo, so perfectly fine I guess. But let me move to the next one. So this is actually a 64 megapixel photo that I took, but if I go into the info, you will see it's just a 2 megapixel photo. So the 64 megapixel mode is broken, and that's not all. Let me show you the next one. Yes, this is worked perfectly fine. And here, as you can see, this is a normal photo. It is a 16 megapixel photo. So normally, yes, it is working fine. But just look at this picture. This is a selfie. But let me actually show you. I went to the selfie mode just by switching the camera, of course. And here, if you're noticing, I have this 3:4 aspect ratio selected, not 9:16. But still over here, this took this 9:16 photo, and if I zoom it in, the quality is not that great. And if I go into the info, here if you notice the megapixel count, yes, it is a 2 megapixel selfie. And yes, I can't really fix that. But the problem is when you take a portrait selfie, that goes really bad. Let me show you. This is how it looks like. Well, as you can see, it's like stretched out on the top and bottom. So again, it is looking very weird. So this is the problem I'm talking about in OSS vendor based ROM for the Redmi Note 10 Pro. Let me actually tell you about that. You can determine which ROM is OSS vendor based and which ROM is not. So this is the Derpfest ROM, the 13th September 2021 build. Look at the file size. This is about 2.38 GB. So that is a huge file size, I would say, for a particular ROM on the Redmi Note 10 Pro at least. Because let me actually show you, I have tried this Droid ROM, which worked perfectly fine. That too has the ANX camera as default. And of course, you get all the features of that ROM perfectly working fine. And if you want to see a review of this particular Droid ROM, you can check out the card or the description. But yes, to be fair, just flash the ROMs which has like the file size of 1 point something GB, like 1.1 or even 1.2 GB is fine. But if you see a ROM that is more than 1.6 GB or something, that may be a problematic ROM for the Redmi Note 10 Pro at least, because that ROM may have OSS vendor based like blobs. So that's when these kind of problems occurs in the camera. So yeah, everything seems to be fine in the camera until and unless you take a picture. And here, of course, in the video settings, we do have a 4K 30 FPS option still, but I'm not really sure if those will work perfectly fine. But yes, these options are there. As you can see, I can't test everything, of course, but yes, 4K 30 FPS option is there. Also the manual video options and stuff, everything is there. But again, I'm not really sure how your experience will go with this. So yeah, even as you can see, the front camera videos are looking to be working fine. But yes, I'm not really sure how your experience will be when, let me actually like show you a demo of this. So right now, if I take a portrait selfie, as you can see, 3:4 aspect ratio is selected. And again, this is on the stock camera. Just notice how weird it looks. So this is the biggest problem of this particular ROM, at least for devices like the Redmi Note 10 Pro, this is happening. So please try to avoid the ROMs which are based on OSS vendor on the Redmi Note 10 Pro. If you're someone who really wants the camera to be perfectly working at least, don't go with these OSS vendor based ROMs. Otherwise, the ROM seems to be pretty great. Let me actually show you. I did customize it. As you can see, the status bar and the notification panel looks like this. So this is the Derpfest launcher, and here swiping down anywhere in the home screen again gets you to the quick setting or the notification panel. Swiping up gets you to the app drawer. You can even search for any particular apps from right here, and if you go to the left side of the home screen, you get the Google's Discover page. And here, if you are tapping and holding on some apps, you get this particular menu, and we have all the apps opening perfectly fine, and the whole launcher stays very smooth. The widgets are working totally fine, and it shows a random message over there, and you can turn on or turn off any particular feature. In the MISC settings, we have this enable blurs, then overview blur, and the show RAM usage is also there. So in the recents panel, if you go just like this, you'll see the screenshot option is there, then the clear all option is there. Also the close button is there, and on the bottom shows how much RAM your device has free. So that is great. In the custom ROMs, you don't see this feature a lot, but this is great. We have all these features. Let me go into the app drawer now. Now we have the show app title and the suggestion disabling options, and the background transparency, also the enable blurs again. In the home screen settings, we have the hidden apps, then the enable wallpaper zoom, then the double tap to sleep is also there anywhere in the home screen. That is great. At a glance is there, and we have this show date instead over here, and the show random message and stuff. So yeah, you can turn on or turn off anything. And here, let me actually show you by just double tapping anywhere in the home screen, you can make the phone sleep. And let me just tap on the fingerprint scanner. I do have the always on display disabled. Let me just enable it right now so that I can show you guys. As you can see, the always on display is actually working perfectly fine. Let me just clear this notification. So yes, you do get this Android 12 kind of lock screen clock or the always on display clock. And in the lock screen, it looks very beautiful, but yes, it does lag a little bit. Whenever I double tap, just notice that like a little bit of lag you may notice over here. So yes, the fingerprint scanner again is working perfectly fine. Let me show you one more time. And yes, it is working perfectly fine 100% of the time. Very reliable fingerprint scanner experience. I would say no issues whatsoever that I have faced. One thing that I want to talk about first is the dark theme. If I enable the dark theme, so right now you might not be able to notice that, but yes, in the display settings, if you go into the dark theme, there is no option to change the color palette of the background. So yes, I can't set pitch black from right here. For that, I have to go into this styles and wallpapers, and from here I have to create a custom theme. So I think even that does not enable the darkest background over here. Let me actually go with this pixel. Okay, so right now the screen has turned totally black or dark in the background. So yes, actually if you want to enable a pitch black kind of theme, you have to go with this pixel one, then only you will get the totally black or dark kind of background, or else if you go with the default one, it will be completely grayish. You can notice that in the AMOLED display, of course. But in my frank opinion, there should have been a color bucket kind of thing from where you select the pitch black and stuff, but that is simply not present in this particular Derpfest ROM, which is very weird in my opinion. Now in the about section, this is how the Derpfest logo looks like on top, and the Android version is of course Android 11. Security patch is latest of September 5th, 2021, so that's great. And the Derpfest version is there, also the build date is present. The maintainer name is a little funny, you can read it out. And we have the stock kernel as Arrow kernel, FaceUnlock status says as enforcing. In the system panel, this is the settings that you get, and we have the device specific settings. Let me show you, you get the high refresh rate, and from here you can change this 60 to 120 Hz, or you can set all the way 120 Hz always. So that is great. Also, you can switch to only 60 Hz if you want to. And the renaming is present over here, but that option I think is missing from the quick toggles. In the direct settings, we have the youth edition, and from here we have other audio preset, and the sound quality via the headphone jack and Bluetooth as well should be really good. Also, we have these presets, and the hi-fi audio option is also there. Let me go back. We have the Derpfest updater. From here, of course, you can check for updates whenever you want to, or whenever you are like updating with a OTA updater, you can use this particular updater to update your ROM. That's too much update in one sentence. The default keyboard over here is Gboard, as this ROM has the Google Apps or G Apps pre-included. In the Derpfest, you will get all the customizations, and I'm not gonna go into all of this because I have shown you guys multiple times all these customizations. And yes, this ROM of course has huge amount of customizations, except it does not have that color bucket kind of thing from where you choose the pitch black and stuff. Other than that, there is huge amount of customization. Yes, 3-finger screenshot gesture is there. You can take long screenshot, you can edit them, share them, delete them if you want to. And of course, you can like swipe on the status bar to actually increase or decrease the brightness. All these features are there. And of course, double tapping on the status bar makes the phone sleep. That's totally normal with custom ROMs. So yeah, that feature is of course there. Now let's jump into the battery settings. This is how it looks like, and yeah, it shows this cool animation whenever you are going into the battery settings, and you can tap here to see the full battery usage. And we have the adaptive battery, the block sensors, and some battery tweaks is also there. So there is a new sleep mode, so you can turn that on if you want to disable Wi-Fi and stuff like that. You can choose what you want to disable in the sleep mode, so that is great. Also the ringer mode you can change in the sleep mode. Let me go back, and here you can disable particular apps sensors if you want to, and we have the Full charge lasts about how long prediction, and we have the screen on time over here, and the battery temperature shows up on the bottom, but there is no charging cycle or the current battery capacity, design battery capacity, etc. Those things or charging cycles are missing from this particular section. In the display settings, we have the lock screen and stuff, and from here you can enable this show sensitive notification, so the privacy kind of stuff is there. Always show time and info is the always on display, you can enable or disable it. Wake for notification is there, and we have the ambient music ticker, ambient wake gesture and stuff. Then we have the night light, you can enable and change the intensity of it, of course, and the adaptive or auto brightness is there. Also there is the one shot auto brightness. Now there is the live display, you can enable it, and you can also change the color calibration from here. You can change the RGB of the screen, of course. Also in this styles and wallpaper section, you will find this clock, and there you can find all the lock screen clocks like this Android S1 that I'm using, or you can go with the Android S TP3, Android 12 one, or the Bubble, Clockertino, and the other options are there like this Octavie, OxygenOS, Orono, and the Samsung Bolt, colored, etc. options are there, including this Sammy S Funny sticker tag, type, center, etc. options are there. So huge amount of lock screen clocks are there. Let me go back. We have the colors set to boosted by default, and we have the double tap to wake and the enable blurs option. Then the wake up on plug, you can enable or disable as your liking. You can force some particular apps to full screen if you want to. Then the font size, display size, the DPI you can change. And in the sound settings, this is how it looks like. Again, if you go all the way to the bottom, you have the dial pad tones, the screen locking sound, charging vibration, etc. Also we have the vibration and haptic feedback kind of customization. From there you can enable the in-call haptics touch vibration and the ringtone vibration pattern as well, you can change. But again, the Mi Audio DAC is present in the system settings. Let's talk about security, shall we? We have the settings right here. You have the quick unlock and the lock screen after timeout over here. And yes, I did set up my fingerprint scanner. I already showed you the fingerprint scanner speed. Right now, let me set up the face unlock. And while I'm setting the face unlock, as you can see on the top, there is that huge black border. I mean, there was, let me actually show you. I'm not gonna point the device towards my face so that I can show you that black border. Let me actually do that one more time from here. As you can see, that big circle around the camera. So yeah, that is the notch kind of thing. So whenever you're doing a video call or something, that will help. Let me actually show you the face unlocking speed now. So yes, it is working perfectly fine with the face unlock, and that black border you are noticing on the front camera will help while you are in a video call. Then you will not see those kind of halo effect in your video feed. So yes, that is a very good thing that the developers are including this in all the new ROMs. Now also there is an AppLock. So yes, I did lock this particular app, and this is a basic AppLock which is available in all ROMs. So you can use your PIN, your fingerprint scanner, or you can use your face data to actually unlock a particular app, and that is actually working fine. Let me tap the fingerprint scanner, and as you can see, it unlocks. And this AppLock is working perfectly fine. You can lock any particular app that you want to from the security settings. Now let's talk about some basic stuff like the RGB remote control, or all the IR apps, IR Blaster kind of apps should be working fine here. As you can see, that IR Blaster blinking light. So that means the IR Blaster should be working totally fine on this particular ROM. Talking about the Safetynet, yes, it passes the Safetynet right out of the box, so banking apps should not be an issue either. The DRM info stays as L1, so you can stream Netflix or Amazon Prime videos in 1080p without any issues. And in the Google Photos, you get unlimited backup pretty much, and you do get these three options like this: original quality, storage saver, or the express. For some reason, this OK Google says that this feature is currently unavailable. Hey Google. So yes, as you can see, the OK Google or Hey Google kind of thing or voice trigger is disabled. But right now, if I do this from the corner or swiping from the corners, these gestures do trigger Google Assistant over here. What's the weather?
It's 27 with light thunderstorms.
Okay, so yes, that is working totally fine. Now, if you're wondering about the performance of this ROM, let me just open a couple of apps that I have already opened in memory so that I can see what app stays in memory and what does not. Let me first open Chrome. And yes, it looks like it is still in memory. In this test UFO, you can see how much is the FPS. Okay, so let's just wait for a little bit, maybe. No? Okay, so let me just refresh this. So for some reason it's sticking to 90. Okay, so right now, as you can see, I'm getting about 120 FPS. So yes, the test UFO website is working perfectly fine. Now in the Facebook app, as you can see, still in memory. Files, yes, still in memory. YouTube, seems like it is still in memory. And Twitter, yes, that is too in memory. Play Store, okay, so Play Store has been removed, I guess. YouTube again, still in memory. Instagram, still in memory. Google Home, yes, still in memory. And this RGB remote app, not really sure if I did open it earlier. So let me just first open Chrome again. Facebook, Twitter, Play Store, Files, YouTube, Instagram, Google Home, and this LED RGB remote app. All these apps stays in memory. So that means the memory management and performance of this ROM is just amazing, and it's gonna be an amazing daily driver if you're someone who really wants great performance from a particular ROM. And if you wanna see the benchmarks, here are the Android One Geekbench score with a CPU stress test on this build. So what's the conclusion? Well, I would say if you're someone who is looking for a really great performer on the Redmi Note 10 Pro, like this Derpfest ROM will be offering really great performance while daily driving or gaming or something like that. But definitely it won't give you the best camera experience over here. Maybe if you're someone who uses Gcam, but I don't really see a lot of Gcams working super fine here because Gcam's colors are still washed out a little bit on the Redmi Note 10 Pro, but yes, that's how I feel. For me personally, for daily driving, I want ANX camera or MIUI camera to be there perfectly working, but yeah, that's just me. If the camera does not bother you, you should definitely go for this Derpfest ROM on the Redmi Note 10 Pro. So thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. This is Tito from KD Index signing off for today. I'll be catching you guys in the next one. Bye bye now.